Hey there, friends. This is Stickster, and I just want to show you a cool piece of gear I got. I've been doing a lot of hardware stuff recently, and now that I'm starting to collaborate with a few people based on that, I needed to have some ways to transport some of the things that I've been using. For some of the gear, it's been easy to find cases, and I'm pretty particular about cases for the expensive hardware. So for example, for my Electron Digitak 2, I got an analog case for that. Now I bought it. No one is sponsoring this video. I don't get remuneration from anybody. This is all stuff that I bought myself at market prices and paid for out of my own pocket. Nobody knows I'm making this video. You're seeing it at the same time as everyone else. But I do like analog cases, so I've got one of those for my Electron Digitak. But recently I got a hold of some other hardware that I wanted to put into cases to be able to travel easily. This is a case that I got on Amazon. I'll leave the link for you in the show notes or in the video notes. And that way, if you're interested, you can get a hold of one. Not very expensive. I think it was on the like $20, $25 range, something like that. And I'm actually using it for something cool. So this is I've got this open right now. Let me close this up, and that way get a better idea of what you're looking at. So this is, it's a pretty thick case. It's about, I would say about 9.5, 10 inches, maybe on the outside. And I think it's about 5 inches or something like that deep. Not sure exactly of the width here, or whatever dimension you want to call this. I'm guessing it's something around maybe 8 inches, something like that. So anyway, you've got this really, it's a decent case, pretty hard material. It's got like kind of a texturized vinyl covering on it. And if I open this up, by the way, the zippers are not bad. I would say under stress, they don't feel like they're going to hold up like heavy-duty zippers would. But, if you're relatively careful, I'm sure this will last a number of years. Let me show you what I'm using this for. I've got a Zoom LiveTrak L-6 that I got recently because it lets me do a bunch of cool routing. There's plenty of videos about the L6. I don't think you need me here to tell you how all this works. But I'm mainly using it. I really wanted something for the L6, and when I found this case, I realized I could do some other cool stuff. Let me reach over here. I'm going to grab something off to the side. Okay, this is some of the foam that comes in this, and you probably heard of this or probably seen it. It's this what they call pick and pluck foam. So it comes with 3 deep sheets, and I would say these squares are, I'm not measuring them, but I think they're probably around a centimeter or so this way, and maybe I'm guessing more than a centimeter this way. Probably more like, it's probably more like an inch. So I guess, what is that? Maybe 2 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters, something like that. Again, I'm not I didn't measure all this beforehand. I just wanted to do the video. But this pick and pluck foam is great because you can pull it in whatever shape you need to protect your gear. And that was one of the things that came in this. I thought, this one's going to be perfect. And the depth of this case was such that I can use it for several components. I'm going to show you how I did that. So in here, I've got the Zoom, and I'll pick this up and I'll pull it out of here. Zoom L6 is it's a nice little mixer. It's not very big. It's about 8 inches by maybe 4.5, and it's only about a couple inches deep, I would say. So I'm going to put this off to the side here, and you're going to see that under that, if I pull out the level of foam that I pulled the shape out of, the next level, I've done another cut, and in here I've got this Xjam, which is a really cool controller. You can get it for very cheap. They're just a little over $100 on Amazon. And, although they are, they're inexpensive, they're very functional. The pads are really nice, great for finger drumming. I'm going to use this mainly for triggers so that I can trigger things like, scene changes, program changes, things like that. It has an immense library built in. So you're not just using 16 pads here and 6 encoders, which, by the way, are pretty nice encoders. You've got banks for each of these. There are control banks for the encoders and pad banks for the pads, and you have 3 banks of each. So essentially, it's like having 18 knobs and 48. That's 16 times 3 of these pads, and this thing also has scenes built in. You can recall up to 48 scenes, and each of those scenes, all of the 18 encoders and 48 pads can all do different things. So it is amazing what this thing will do, and the recall on it is practically instantaneous. You have to hit a couple pads in a certain order to make that happen, but it's very fast, and so this is very cool. And of course, the great thing about it is the pads are just, they're good for finger drumming. They're nice and sensitive. You don't have to hit them hard. Anyway, another cool piece of gear. I'm going to set this aside, and then you're going to see the other thing I did here, which is under this layer, I left room for my MIDI cables and adapters. So here's the cables that I need for the L6, cable for running USB from the L6 to power, and also a USB cable for the Xjam to go to my laptop. And so, this is a great way to store things. So when I'm ready to go, right, I can just fit this back in here, stick the Xjam in, get it down there tight, and pop in the last level, pop in my Xjam. Now, we'll say this just barely makes it. So the Xjam is it's resting on these encoders a bit, and it's not perfect for me, but again, I think it's going to be okay. The reason being is that there's foam. Let me pull this so that you can see it. There's foam on the top of this container as well. So when I push this down, I'm not pressing down hard on anything. I'm not exerting any force on those 2 units. So, short of really dropping, I'd have to drop this thing extremely hard for there to get, for it to be a really strong shock to those units. So I think it's going to be okay. I'll let you know. If I have a disaster, I guess I'll report back. But I really like this case. Again, I'll leave links for this stuff in the video notes. And I hope this helps somebody out there who's got one or more of these pieces of equipment, know where you can get a case that is adaptable. I think the manufacturer for this makes other sizes as well. So, if you're looking for a case like this is a great way to go, because you can get multiple units into one piece of hardware. And, if your hardware is a little thinner, you're going to have an easier time not having them rest on each other, right? The way that you cut the foam out turns these into shelves, right? I'm going to open this back up because I realize I shouldn't have closed it. And, you're going to notice that in a different world, maybe with a different setup here, this foam here inside becomes a shelf on which your next unit sits. And so depending on the configuration, you could do all sorts of amazing things. All right. So I hope this is helpful. I'll leave links in the video notes, and I hope you have a great time making music. Do something fun, share it with the world. Till next time, this is Stickster, and I'll see ya.